My name is Vanessa Jackson. I have two boys that are here with me, Jason and Aiden. Jason is 11 and Aiden is 6. Um, and then I also have a son, Liam, who passed away in 2018, November 29th. He was born October of 2018, so he lived a very short life, only 6 weeks. And I was told that the cause of death was due to SIDS. And SIDS is a very, you don't get much closure with SIDS. I don't know what type of closure that is good enough for when you have a child that passes away. I don't think there's ever going to be a closure that's good enough. But for me, SIDS was tough just because I didn't have an answer as to how this happens. He was, perfectly healthy baby. He was beautiful. He came out when he was born 10 pounds, 10 pounds, 1 ounce. He was in all his milestones. He was loved. He was taken care of. There wasn't anything wrong that I knew of. So the day that Liam passed away, I'm just going to go in with a little background of that first, which this is actually, I think, going to be the hardest part for me because I have yet to actually tell the story publicly of how he passed away. I've always kind of skipped it. I'll save this for later. I'll save this for another time. And the whole reason why I do share is only because I want to help someone else. I'm hoping that someone will watch this video and someone can relate to what I went through. And it can, maybe help them, give them some peace, something. I know when I was, the first few weeks after losing Liam, I was in search of, like a deep searching for somebody or something that I could read, anything that can give me, some type of hope. I remember I reached out to a mom that I knew who lost her son years back. And I just said, does this feeling go away? Because that was my main thing. Like, does this go away? How long am I going to imagine his face in my head every single day? Will I ever remember his, the face that he originally was, the face that I remember, the face that I love? Because that's the only image I had in my head for a while was just this purple face. So I'll go back to when we did find him. We're getting ready for a doctor's appointment for my youngest son, Aiden. He was 5 at the time. And Aiden was my big helper with Liam. We would literally fight each other to who's going to hold Liam. He was finally a big brother. He was super excited about it. I think it gave him like a purpose that he really loved, really cherished it. So me and Aiden were going to Liam's room. Jason was at school already. Aiden was not yet in school. And we went to Liam's room to wake him up. I was going to give him a bath, get him ready to go now that we got everyone else ready. And walked into the room. Or let me backtrack. So my husband was working nights at the time. He got home in the middle of the night. Me and him were both up. I was laying on the couch with Liam, just got done with the feeding. I was about to put him back to bed. It was, early morning at this point. So I went in, put him to bed, and me and my husband were going to redo the bedrooms. We were going to switch out the kids' rooms. I wanted to put Liam's crib up in my boys' room. It just was what was working at that time. So me and my husband were both up this whole time Liam's sleeping. Which to me, I always look back at that and I think that was the best thing that could have happened, because I feel that maybe if he wasn't home or if I wasn't home, you always have this question like, could I have been there to prevent this? Did they just not hear him crying? How can this happen? Perfectly healthy baby, and you don't have an answer as to why it comes all of a sudden. It's just why? Why does this happen? So I think that's something that I do look back on, even my husband too, and we think, thank God we were both up, because I know it can be really hard afterwards that, there's blame, there's anger, there's, marriages don't last. Anyways, backtrack again to when we found him. So me and Aiden walked into the bedroom And I looked to my right, that's where his bassinet was, and I noticed something was up. Something didn't look right. Immediately my heart like stopped for a second. I went to go grab him, but I still had this thought in my head, no, it's fine. I'm probably just freaking out. But you know how you have that motherly instinct where you just think something doesn't look right. So I grabbed him, and his face was like facing down. And he was a strong baby again. He was 10 pounds. He was lifting his head. He was moving around. All my kids slept better on their stomachs. So third time around, I seen he was strong enough. My other kids slept longer on their stomachs, slept better on their stomachs. And Liam was the same way. He just slept better on his stomach. He would cry when I put him on his back. I'd roll him on his tummy, scratch his, rub his back, and he would fall right asleep. So, when he was in the bed, his face was down, and I knew, there's something wrong with that. So I grabbed him right away. I lifted him and I turned his body. That was my first thing, like to look at him. I'm holding him, like this. And, his face was like this blotchy, purple, bright, like it was purple. It had white blotches. He was cold. And he felt stiff. His body already felt stiff. Like I knew right there, oh my God. Oh my God. Like, mind you, Aiden is right next to me this whole time. And, I kind of just blanked out at that point where I didn't even realize he's right next to me. I just went into a tunnel vision. I screamed my husband's name. I screamed, RJ. And he told me afterwards that he knew from that scream and the way it sounded, something was wrong. And he came running over to the bedroom. And I was standing there holding Liam. And he's like, what happened? What happened? Sorry. So I don't know. I don't even know what he said. And he's saying, no, 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 no. And I could hear it in his voice. And I was already knowing like this is bad. This is really bad. How is this happening? Is this really happening to me? All these things going through my head, like, no way, no, 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 not my baby. So I said, call 911, call 911. We run to the living room. And I put him down on the couch. I'm on the phone with 911. They're telling me how to do CPR. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it right. I couldn't blow hard enough into his mouth because his face it just was so hard for me to do that CPR. I kind of felt like, why am I doing this? I think he's gone. I was just freezing. My husband then immediately, he took over and he tried to do the CPR, and the first responders were amazing. They walked us through the step one by one by one, do this, do that, do this. And as we're in the middle of CPR, the cops did come. They were coming in with their little devices, I think the AEDs and stuff. And the cop seen him and knew right away, he had to react. He picked up Liam, ran with him outside. I remember looking through my window and I just see this baby being held by this cop. And he ran into his police car. My husband ran out the house too. He was just in shorts. I think he just threw on shoes and a hoodie. And he got into the car and they went to the hospital. It was just like that. And then there was the police at the house. I was getting my stuff together so I can get Aiden. I had my dog there. I was like, do I leave the dog? But the police had to stay in the house. And then I think for a time I was waiting. I had to wait till they said I could go. I think it was something like that. It wasn't long, about 10 minutes. And then I left the house and I headed to the hospital with Aiden. I got like right after everyone left and they went to the hospital, I remember just looking down at Aiden. I was thinking, oh my God, my baby was right here too. He's seen everything. My heart was just hurting. It was so hurt. And I don't think Aiden really knew what was going on. I think he was, he knew something was wrong, but I don't think he thought death. I thought, going to the hospital, he's going to fix him. So we go to the hospital, get there, me and my husband get brought into the room to go speak with the doctor. And I'm still thinking at this point, there's going to be some hope. He's going to be okay. They're going to fix him because he can't die. And Aiden was still with me at this point, and the police officers took Aiden. They were really good with him. They played, the poor kid. I didn't call my family this time. Me and my husband are there and Aiden's there. I always think, I don't know what he was going through at that point. What was he thinking? But anyways, went into the room. The doctor said, we did everything we could. I'm sorry, but he did not make it. And I remember just staring at him like, okay, like it was finally registering. He didn't make it, but I'm still have this thought in my head, like, no way, no way, no way. But I just had the blank stare. He said, sometimes these things just happen. We don't have an answer for it. I didn't see anything else wrong. Sometimes these things just happen. And he told us we can go see him in the room. Before I think they bring their body somewhere and then they go to the funeral home after that. The funeral home director picks them up. So I went into the room, I looked at him, and it just wasn't my baby. He was laying on the bed. This big, huge hospital bed for, adults. And I was thinking, oh, this little baby on this big bed. Oh my God, my baby. My baby, my baby. That's the thought that kept going through my head. And my husband, he kind of stood at the door and, he was just like, it was sad. It was really sad to see your baby laying there. And he's gone. There's nothing you can do about it anymore. It was really, really hard. And then having to leave him there in the hospital. I remember that whole day I was thinking, like, I want to be with him. I want to be with him. He's all alone. And yeah, he's already dead, but I wanted to be there with him. It didn't feel right. So then me and my husband went home. And of course, then you have the whole process of the investigation part where cops are at your house. Because if any minor or someone, who can't speak and can't talk, can't help themselves, passes away in a home unexpectedly, it's considered a suspicious death until they can rule out that there was, no foul play and all this. And that was a whole new thing too then right there. So we couldn't even go into our house when we first got home because they were taking pictures, had to go through everything. They were really good to us, the police officers. They, you could tell they didn't want to do it. They sympathized with us, but they had to do it. It's their job. Bad things happen to babies sometimes, unfortunately. So I think it was about 7 hours until we could actually go back into our house. So in that meantime of us waiting for them to do their job, I called my mom. We went to her house. And then my next thought was, I got to pick up my son from school, Jason from school. He was in 5th grade at that point, and I remember thinking, how am I going to tell him? Oh my God, how am I going to tell him? You're picking up from school, your brother died. How do you tell a kid that? He had no idea what he was about to come home to school to. And my heart just hurt for him. My heart hurt for both my kids. Because their life was going to change too, and I didn't know what type of future it was going to be. Like, am I going to make it? How are we going to do this? So, I picked up Jason from school. We had to talk with him. I told him, and I remember he just started crying in the car. He was so sad. He was like, what and why? And later on, we did a lot of talking with my kids. after this whole process, that was the day that we lost him. So after, and then we had the funeral next. We had, the whole process of what you had to do. And something very new to me. I didn't know anything about funerals and having to plan them. But one thing that I'm always happy is that I'm always happy about. I'm sorry, I'm trying not to sniffle and make all those noises. All right. So one thing that I was always happy that we did was be very open with our boys. We talk to them all the time about, how are you feeling? What do you feel about this? It's okay to be mad. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be angry. My oldest was more on the angry side at first. He thought if I was there, could I have stopped it? Could I have changed it? Like I was talking about in the beginning of how you get that feeling of if you're not there, could I have changed it? Because you just weren't there. He just really wanted to be there. I think that was his thing. He wanted to be there. He wished he was there to be a part of that. Why didn't he know? But I let him have his anger. I let him be upset about it. I told him I wish I could have changed it for him. I told him, if there's anything I could have done, I would have done it. And not that he was angry at me. He was just angry. And my youngest, I don't think he really grew attached to the sky. This was something that we would always do with our kids. And this is a part of serving that I think, as far as serving my children, that was the very first thing I did when it came to serving, is just being there for them, showing up, making their life any bit easier than what it is for them. We did little things where we would go look up at the sky. We would talk to the moon, and we'd say, "There's Liam up there," and he loved doing that with me. I know he did, and my husband would even say that's like your guys' thing. And I love doing that with him. And then I know another thing is the first week after the funeral and everything, we put all of his clothes in the basement. Liam's clothes, they were in a tub. My family members came over. They helped me clean. They put them in the basement. And, I think they just wanted to make it easier for me to get the things out of my sight. I mean, I couldn't even sleep in my bedroom, which was where we had Liam's bassinet for a while. So we always put his clothes in the basement in a tub, and Aiden would always go down there, and he was bringing clothes up, like sneaking them up. I don't know if maybe he just didn't want to bring it up, because I think he was always nervous that was going to make mom sad, that was going to make dad sad, or just he didn't know how to deal with the situation. So I seen him sneaking some of the clothes up, and he was trying to dress one of the pajamas into his little stuffed animal bear. So I ended up saying, what are you doing? And we ended up going down there. We got all these stuffed animal, or all these clothes of Liam, some of his pajamas that he wore, and we put the clothing on all of his stuffed animals. So he had this big collection of his animals with all Liam's clothes, and he loved it. He brought his bear with him everywhere. His little RJ, he called it, little Liam. He had little Aiden, little Jason, all these bears with Liam's clothes on. And that brought me comfort, knowing that, he has something for him that makes him feel closer. It seemed like it was something that was working. Another thing is, as far as, moving on past all this, past the initial grief of, you're just stuck, you're in denial. But yeah, another thing with moving forward and moving on, something I would say is I would crave happiness. I craved something good to happen. I needed good things to happen because it was all so many bad things. I feel after Liam passed away, it was just so hard. Everything was hard. So anything to make it easier and to make life a little happier for us. We looked at his death as it's not a good thing to say he had to die for us to have a better life. I don't like saying that. It's more like I needed to give his death meaning. Me and my husband both. We couldn't just have it be for nothing. So we wanted to honor, him and have him always looking down on us from up there, knowing that we're living the best life possible. We didn't just stay sad and not be parents for our other children here. I know that's what Liam would have wanted. He wants his mom happy. He wants his dad happy. He wants his brothers happy. He wants us to live better than we ever have, better. He wants us to have a happy life. And one by one, negative things started getting out of my life. There are certain people that were negative, and I didn't realize it until after he died. That I don't need this negativity in my life. I don't need people like that in my life. These people are not doing anything good for me. Why am I keeping them around? My voice became more loud. I knew that I didn't have to, live unhappy. So once those negative people I got out, things started going into place because I realized, who you surround yourself with is a big factor into how happy your life is. And the next thing, we ended up selling our house because it was too hard to live there, and we knew it was time to move forward. It was time to move on. That was, I'm so sorry, my phone was ringing and I didn't know if it was my kid's school or I had to pause it real quick. So yeah, there were several steps that we took in order to make sure that our life was going to be better. My husband got the job position that he wanted and has been trying to get for a while, and that was huge for us. We started paying off our debt, any debt that we owed in the past. We just wanted to clear this whole path for our life so that, whatever held us back in the past can't hold us back in the future. Because we know that our life can be much more than what it was. Not that it was a bad life, but just we could have a better life. And I want to do that to make Liam happy, to make him proud, to make my boys proud, to give them, better life than what they were having, or that they could have had. After you lose a child, sometimes it's easy to just go into a depression and not, focus on the things you need to focus on. And it's okay for a little bit. I did it for a while, maybe a few months I did it. I was just throwing my hair up in a messy bun all the time. Eventually I had this huge knot in my hair because I wasn't brushing it. I was just doing the bare minimum. I was doing only what I needed to do to get through the day. And at that point I had this huge knot in my hair. I showed up to my mom's house. I said, Mom, can you help me get this knot out of my head? I thought I was going to have to cut my whole head off. She said for 2 hours brushing out my hair. Finally, the knot did come out. I didn't have to cut my hair. And I remember thinking, it's going to take time. It's going to take patience. I just need to surround myself with love, people who love me, people who want to help me, people who have our best interests. And with all of that, we can go forward. We can move forward. We loved going to the cemetery too. For some reason, it always brought me peace when I would go there, to visit him. When I would leave there, I felt like I would leave stronger than how I arrived there. So that was another huge thing for us. And my youngest liked to go often, and then my oldest started going or wanting to go more than he did in the beginning. They would play catch at the cemetery. My husband and my 2 boys would play catch with this specific ball they just happened to use every time they went there, and it kind of became their thing. So there were little things that we did like that to where this is something that we can do every time we do this. And this is in honor of Liam. I clean out the grave area. I take out all the weeds. I wipe down the stone. I do everything, that I would normally do as a mom in real life. If he was alive, I would be getting everything ready. The boys play, dad plays with, it was the thing that we could do. Even though he's not here anymore, it was something that we could do as a family together, all of us. So yeah, those were like the little things that would bring happiness, and that's what we would do. Um, Another thing, it's been about 2 years now since he did pass away. So I feel like the world moves on, but as a parent, you never do. You never will. Just in time, it does get easier. You learn to live with it a little better than it was in the beginning. In the beginning, it's so unbearable. I couldn't get the image out of my head. Um, every night I just would lay there in like a little ball and just think about it before I would go to bed. And then I'd wake up to like this terrible dream all over again. Um, and just had to learn to push past it, move forward, look for happiness. I did little things like one thing would be yoga. I would do yoga 10 minutes every day in the morning. This is about a year afterwards. So, I mean, these things take time. It took time for us to finally get like this consistent schedule of doing right things, getting back on track, becoming happier, because it takes one little thing that you do in a positive direction, and then another thing, and then another positive, and another positive. As you got rid of the negatives, you have full positive. This is all positives. There are bad days, but there's also, we strive for more good days. And yoga was something that did help me a lot. And I would definitely, I recommend there's a few moms I talked to that lost their kids, and I said, try yoga. You have to try yoga. It just kind of centers me in the morning. It's was the thing that I started doing that kind of kicked my depression away. I know, some things don't work for everybody. This was just stuff that worked for me. Doing yoga, I started getting up every morning, started going to a routine because I started my day with that one positive thing. Um, there's not, it's easy to say there's not a good side. I don't know how I'm trying to say this. When you lose your child, it's terrible. You don't ever forget it. Yes, it can become easier to live with. And sometimes you even feel guilty, like, should I be this happy or should I? But yes, you should. We all should. I think our baby's up there. I know Liam. I just have this feeling in me. Liam wants that. He wants me to be happy. He wants his dad happy. He wants our family together, close, and happy. And that's what we're doing for him. And that's been the main thing that I constantly look at when I make choices in my life, when I do things in my life. Is this going to make him happy? And yes, there are, times I haven't made the right choice afterwards, but again, it's all in time. It does get better. And the more I kept focusing on positive things, the more it came a little easier and more positive things kept coming. I'm trying to think of what else I was supposed to mention in this. I know through survivors, I did blankets for babes with them. We collected the blankets, and I'm still waiting to give it to the hospital because there's COVID restrictions. Every couple of weeks, I keep trying to check in, see if anything changed, nothing. But anyways, that was something that I did in honor of Liam, and through survivors, they, thought of doing this part and this part, and we all just kind of did it together in memory of our children. And that's something huge for me. A few months after, I did something for Meals with Love where we gave everyone was making food for someone who needed it. It didn't have to be, someone going through a tragic loss. It could just be someone who it's hard for them right now, a mom who needs a break, anything. And we just did that, made a dinner. And every month there's something, extra that everybody does. It's like a little service project. I can't do every month, but as long as I get something in, I know that is something that I'm doing for Liam, and it makes me feel better by doing things, serving others, and making someone else's day better in honor of Liam. It's a two-way thing. You're helping someone and you're helping yourself. You're healing yourself, and that's the main thing. It's all healing. And I know I probably did this a little bit too long. I'm going to kind of wrap it up now. I wish I was able to do it live. I thought it would be a lot cooler that way, but unfortunately the internet was giving us some issues and wasn't able to do that. So I hope if anyone ever needs anything, I know if you've lost your child or through SIDS or anything, I can relate. if anyone wants to reach out to me, I am always here. We can talk anything. I don't have all the answers, but I have my experience, and that's what's helped me. And I guess that's going to be it. Thank you everyone for listening. Thanks everyone for following. I am happy that I had this opportunity to get this out, and I really hope that there's someone out there that this can touch and someone that can gain something from it. And that is it. I hope everyone has a great day, and I will see you all later.